Are the Minnesota Vikings going to shock the NFL world next season? Well, we're going to talk about it on today's edition of Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, and I appreciate all of you guys taking time out of your day to watch today's show. But before we dive into it, first off, a little pulse check of the fan base right now. If you believe in the Minnesota Vikings, if you guys could, just go down there, hit that thumbs up icon. My bosses challenged me to 1,000 likes on today's show. If you guys want to help me avoid an awkward meeting with the bosses and show your support for the Minnesota Vikings, go down there, hit that thumbs up icon. And if you see we're not at 1,000 likes just yet, help the cause. Go down there, hit that thumbs up button. So why I believe the Vikings are going to shock the NFL world is because, yet again, I think the Vikings are being undervalued. And these are the NFC North odds via DraftKings. Lions, plus 135. Fair enough. Lions should be the favorites to win the division. Swept the Vikings the last 2 seasons, so that makes sense. But then you got the Green Bay Packers. Still, the Packer love is out in full effect at plus 275. Vikings are right behind them at plus 400. And then the Chicago Bears at plus 425 to win the division. These were actually flipped a couple of days ago. The Bears were actually ahead of the Vikings, but the Vikings just jumped them over the last couple of days. And, I was also listening to our good old friend, Colin Cowherd, give his early NFC North predictions. And when he was listing them out, he had, I believe it was the Lions, and then I think he went the Bears at 2, Packers at 3, and then he had the Vikings at 4. And all he had to say about the Minnesota Vikings was, the Vikings have the worst roster in the NFC North. I am okay with people not believing in the Minnesota Vikings if you can actually give me a concrete argument on why you don't believe in this football team that makes sense. And if I was going to make an argument against the Minnesota Vikings, I would say, hey, you got J.J. McCarthy. He's a huge unknown. He hasn't played a snap of football in a real regular season game just yet. I don't believe in the football team because I don't believe in the quarterback. But if your argument on why you don't believe in the football team is because you don't believe the roster is good enough, you just don't understand what the Vikings have done this offseason. I don't know if Cowherd was asleep on that one Tuesday morning when the Vikings signed 3 great interior linemen that day, but I just think him saying the Vikings have the worst roster in the NFC North is just a ludicrous statement. And then even FanDuel, they were dropping their way too early NFC power rankings, and they had the Eagles number 1, no problems there. Commanders 2, Lions 3, Rams 4. I don't have a problem if you have those 4 teams ahead of the Minnesota Vikings. But where my issues, start to come is they got the Chicago Bears at 5. I think the Bears will be a feisty football team next season. Are they going to be better than the Vikings? Absolutely not. Same with the Green Bay Packers. We talk about trust in the quarterback. I don't know if I trust in Jordan Love taking that next step, considering the roster around the QB is nowhere near as good. It's got the Niners. I think that's a joke. They lost a lot of their good players. Still going to be a good football team this upcoming year, but ahead of the Vikings is ludicrous. The Buccaneers, solid team. Are they the Vikings? I don't think so. And then the fact that they even have Sam Darnold and the Seattle Seahawks ahead of the Vikings really grinds my gears, and they just lump the Vikings into the same category as the Cowboys, the Cardinals, and the Falcons. It just makes zero sense to me. And also the Vikings' disrespect will get worse following the NFL draft because the Vikings only have 4 picks. They're probably going to make a boring, safe pick in the first round, which is probably the right move for this franchise. But they're going to see the Bears get Ashton Genty. They're going to see the Packers maybe take a wide receiver in round 1. Maybe the Lions get aggressive and trade up. So the Vikings' disrespect, honestly, I think it's as little of disrespect as they're getting right now throughout the entire offseason. It's only going to get worse. Their odds are only going to get worse to win the division, and that's how I would like it. But why should you guys believe in the Vikings? And let's just start off with the roster improvements. And I don't think there is a bigger offseason addition that any team is making besides the Vikings getting one guy back, and that is going to be Christian Darrisaw. The fact that they were able to win 9 straight games before the Lions and the Rams lost without Christian Darrisaw in the lineup, I think it speaks to Kevin O'Connell, and I think it speaks to the rest of the guys on this team. But the fact that you're getting a top 3 left tackle back in the league this season, it is unbelievable. I mean, Darrisaw is truly one of the best players at a premium position in the NFL. And if you just had to say, out of all free agency signings, what's going to make the biggest addition to any team? It's probably just the Vikings getting one of the best left tackles in the league back. But they also signed these 4 guys. you needed to make improvements at your interior offensive line. So you got Ryan Kelly. You got Will Fries. And it's so funny. Everybody gives the Bears all this love, and I think they should. Them making those moves were good moves. But it's going to take a decent amount of time to get the continuity going in that offense because you got 3 interior offensive linemen coming from 3 different organizations, 3 different offenses. But the Vikings were able to pull Ryan Kelly and Will Fries, which Shane Steichen, Colts head coach, runs a similar system to the Vikings. So I think those guys will hit the ground running right away. And then you're able to add 2 veterans at the defensive line who still have a lot left in the tank in Javon Hargrave and Jonathan Allen. But you're also able to improve your running game. Obviously you have to wait and see if Kevin O'Connell is going to commit more to the run. I think he will. I don't really have any issues or have any concerns with that. But you're able to land Jordan Mason, a physical, bruising running back. What a great year for the Niners last season. 153 carries and just under 800 yards. So I can't wait to see him out there. I think the yin and yang him and Aaron Jones will really take this, offense to the next level. But then also even a guy like Byron Murphy, you're able to re-sign him. And yeah, people were a little concerned when that contract came out. It was like, 3 for 66. It's really a 3 for 54 deal. But I'm sure the Vikings are banking on this guy who is hitting his prime, taking that next step. And I think that's the right call to make. I'm a believer in Byron Murphy. He's got great instincts. He's a great athlete. He's coming off a career year. I think that year we saw last year from Murphy was really him just cracking, the surface of truly how good he could be in the National Football League. So it gets me to this. In terms of just roster, and obviously quarterback plays a big factor in this, but I think the Vikings have the 3rd best roster in the NFC. I think you have to have the Eagles. You have to have the Lions ahead of them. But besides that, are you taking the Commanders roster? Are you even taking the Rams roster over the Vikings? I think it's ludicrous if you say you are. Now, obviously, the Rams, they got Matthew Stafford. The Commanders, they got Jaden Daniels. 2 of the best quarterbacks in the NFC, if not the 2 best quarterbacks in the NFC. But just in terms of the roster, I think the Vikings got the 3rd best in the entire NFC. And, the icing on the cake in terms of this team is the coaching staff. Really what Brian Flores was able to do, taking this defense from being one of the worst statistically 2 seasons ago under Ed Donatel, turning it into a pretty damn good unit 2 years ago, and then a very, very good unit last year. I think it speaks to how impactful having an elite defensive coordinator is. And also both these guys, their roster on each side of the football has improved. Like Brian Flores having Hargrave, Jonathan Allen on that defensive line, I'm sure he's just licking his chops saying, hey, I can get home with 4 now. Even if I have the 5-man standing up of Hargrave, Allen, Van Ginkel, Turner, Grenard, like Flores is going to have a field day there. And Kevin O'Connell, him getting 2 more offensive linemen, getting Christian Darrisaw back, that talent on each side of the football is going to be better. So my defensive take here, I think the Vikings defense will be a top 3 scoring defense next season. They were top 5 last year with probably B-, B-level talent, and they're also dealing with injuries, especially to like Blake Cashman, Ivan Pace in and out of the lineup the entire season. But I think with all of these additions you have made over the last couple of years, this defense will be a top 3 scoring defense. And in terms of offensively, I think the offense will look slightly different next season. I don't think it's going to be the typical Sam Darnold's dropping back and he's trying to throw, 50 times a game. I think the Vikings and Kevin O'Connell understand that you want to lean into J.J. McCarthy's strengths, and that's getting a good run game around him. That's getting a complete offensive around him because, yes, you are going to need J.J. certain games if teams are taking away the run to go throw the ball 35, 40 times, and I think he can do that. Just because Michigan didn't ask him to do it doesn't mean he can't. But I will say I think we'll see a slightly different version of this Vikings offense next season. And number 3 for me, you got the elite culture. Like this Vikings culture, I think, is the best in the National Football League. And it starts with the organization, like just, their weight training room, their dining hall, like all these little things matter for players. But also the Vikings culture, I fully believe this, it played a massive role in signing big-name free agents this offseason. Like we even heard Ryan Kelly talk about it. He was saying, when the NFL PA grades come out every single year, the Vikings are always 1 or 2 in every category. He said that made an impact in him going there. And also a lot of these guys, they talk about Kevin O'Connell, and they're just saying, that's a head coach I want to go play for, especially in the prime of your career. These NFL players, their just career, shelf life is a lot longer or a lot shorter than NBA guys, and it's, tough for them to, take that one prime of their season, go play for an organization. It's a big decision, but the fact that the Vikings were able to reel in these, big name players, I think it speaks to that guy right here. And I'm sure these guys on the Vikings roster last season was seeing the, post-game locker room speeches going viral everywhere, and they're like, yeah, I want to go play well, not only because I got, my career riding on it. I want to do it for my teammates, but also I want to get shouted out by Kevin O'Connell after the game. So I'll ask you guys this. The culture setter of the Minnesota Vikings is Kevin O'Connell. Kevin O'Connell is the blank best coach in the NFL. What is he? Drop that number down below in the comments section. If I just quickly run through this, still taking McVay, Andy Reid. Hurts to say, but you got to give Nick Sirianni his love for what he's done with the Eagles. I'd probably say Kevin O'Connell is like the 5th, 6th, or 7th best coach in the National Football League. But you guys let me know. KOC is the blank best head coach in the NFL. Another reason why to believe in the Minnesota Vikings is because of the quarterback. And that's the biggest question mark around this roster right now is, how good will J.J. McCarthy be? Will he replicate what Sam Darnold did? Will he even be better than what Sam Darnold was this past season? Well, JJ was talking about the QB1 position, and I freaking loved his answer. Kay Adams asked him, hey, when did you find out you were going to be the QB1 for the Vikings? He goes, they haven't told me. I'm happy they didn't because I try to earn it every single day. I never want that to be given to me. It's such a privilege and an opportunity to give me that chance. And a lot of questions around, how long will it take J.J. McCarthy to get accustomed to this Vikings offense? I think J.J. will hit the ground running from the first snap of the season. I don't think there is going to be a huge learning curve where it's like the first 4 games or it's like the Vikes are 1-3, your quarterback's struggling. I really believe that's not going to be the case. I understand he's a younger guy, but he's got all the tangibles. He's got all the intangibles. He's got all the tangibles. He's got the right mindset. He's got the arm. He checks literally every single box you would want in a franchise quarterback. So I don't think this is going to take time. I think next year for the Vikings, if it is J.J. McCarthy, and it will be, he'll hit the ground running from the first snap of next season. But speaking about J.J. McCarthy, if you guys want to go land yourself a J.J. McCarthy jersey today, hit that link, chatsports.com/Vikings jersey. They got the number 9 jerseys on sale right now. So if you guys could hit that link in the comments section and description of today's show, help us out here. And if you guys want to get a J.J. McCarthy jersey today, chatsports.com/Vikings jersey. Now, I also think it was clear that the Vikings wanted to make a bigger point of emphasis on, being a more physical football team this upcoming season. And almost they wanted to have an identity change because under Kevin O'Connell, they have been more of a finesse football team. They have been the team that's always going to beat you on the outside, and it makes sense because all your elite talent is on the outside. Or at least it was. Justin Jefferson, Hawk, Addison. But now, offensively, you got 2 great tackles. You got 2 great interior guys. Defensively, you got 2 great interior guys as well now. So I think the Vikings are clearly making a bigger point on being a more physical football team next season. Like they saw themselves fizzle out against the Lions, against the Rams. And when it gets to those, and listen, those games weren't even outdoors, which is also a little concerning. Like if those were in Philly, and Philly, the most physical football team in the NFL last year, just kicked the crap out of you, yeah, the Vikings would have done the same thing, but I'm happy that they were able to have some self-awareness and say, hey, why did we lose those games at the end of the season? Because we weren't a physical enough football team. KOC got too pass happy. It led to Sam Darnold just having piss running down his leg, dropping the football on the ground, taking bad sacks. The Vikings are clearly making an identity change this offseason. So those are my 5 reasons on why you should believe in the Minnesota Vikings this year. The roster's improved immensely. Top-tier coaching staff, elite culture, the man of the hour, J.J. McCarthy, and we got a little identity change here in Minnesota. But if you guys made it to the end of today's show, just hit me with one of those, a skull, down below in the comments section. Really appreciate it. To see where all the real ones are at. And also, you guys can hit me up on Twitter. That's a handle right there, @PatSeeps. Give me a follow over there, and I'll give you guys a follow right back. But we'll see you guys next time. As always, Skol Vikes, baby.